Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. Today I'm super excited to bring back Anika to the show. Anika was at the last 3-day 180 retreat here in Denver, Colorado. Well, actually, it was held up in the mountains in Breckenridge. And so many of you were like not only related to Anika, but found her experience, her share with everyone so powerful. And so I thought it would be really good to bring her on a few months later down the road to kind of see where she's at. But also, I feel like we can go a little deeper into some of the things that we missed last time she was on with Consuelo and myself. As you guys know, Consuelo and I are hosting the next 3-day 180 retreat in May 15th to the 18th, again in Breckenridge, Colorado. So, Anika, first of all, let's just look how beautiful Anika looks. I mean, it's crazy because when you came to the retreat, you were pure blonde.
Yes.
And now you're like this dark, just beautiful vision right in front of you. I'm like, oh my God, look how amazing she looks. So how are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for the compliments. I feel like this look is a little bit more me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other one was a little bit more people pleasing.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're pleasing myself today.
I love it. I love it. I've been contemplating going back to dark. The guy that I'm dating, he's like, why don't you go back to dark? And I'm like, oh, but once you like go back, all of the work of getting that blonde is it's hard work.
Yep, it is.
I'm not completely convinced yet because I kind of really like the softer look of the blonde for me personally, but I'm loving the dark on you. So, all right, first of all, I don't even know where to start. I mean, how has it been just generally for you since you were last on with Consuelo and I?
I wish I could say I've had these awesome struggles I've been going through or whatever, but it's been pretty much cloud nine, honestly. I'm like, I have the only thing that I would say I've really had to work through that has been a little bit, I wouldn't say challenging. I would just say like more interesting, and I have to be introspective about it, is being as big as I became and like being okay and not shrinking myself back down, and more like integrating everything. So there's, okay, I'm just going to tell you this one because it was crazy. It just happened recently. I had this perfect little plan. So I had my purpose all lined out. I had a perfect plan to do it. And it was going to take some time, probably around 6 years. And I signed up for school, and it was a 3-month program. And I'm doing this egg donation thing each month. And at the 3-month program, the doctor's clinic at the 3 months. So it's a 6-month program that I'm doing the egg donation. And this is month 3. And the doctor's clinic is closing, and they're going to have to ship me out to California. So I will not be attending school because these are mandatory classes. And I was like, okay, what's this redirection? And I go to the beach and I sit there for just a minute, and loud as day, I swear to God, clear as day, whatever you want to say, I heard, you're playing it too safe and you just got to do it. And I was like, oh man. So I had this beautiful plan all worked out in my head. I was like, I'm going to have a stable household, blah, blah, blah. And no, universe said, no, you got to start now. And so went back home and I just started doing it. And so that I would say that was the biggest thing is like wanting to keep myself safe. Society tells you you got to do this, you got to go to school, you got to do this, you got to do that. Then you get your degree, then you're going to be successful. And no,
Okay.
universe was
Could
like,
I
no.
can I make a confession?
Yes.
When because um we after the retreat, there are two integrative group Zoom calls that we jump on, right? And so when we had our first one and you were sharing with all of us what your plans were and that you were going to go back to school and do all those things, my first reaction was, you don't need that,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, I also knew like you're in a position where, you're a single mom and you've got a young child. And so I'm like, maybe this is going to really lay, like you said, the security that you
Mhm.
need, but in not even my mind, my heart, I knew you didn't need it. And so, I mean, I'm not actually that surprised that you've come to this conclusion. Um, so when you realize that the universe doesn't want you to take the safe path, how does that make you feel?
Well, the safety net was pulled in a sense. And so it immediately forced me to go all in. And I'm like, okay, well, this is it. Like, this is a must do, or what's my other option? And that created actually a sense of security that I can pour my all into this and I'm not pulled two different directions. And so it gave me a sense of empowerment at the same time, even though I know there's no safety net. It's like, okay, you got to hold on tight because
Yeah.
shoot, if you fall, you're screwed. And not essentially, obviously, I do have plan Bs, and because obviously I'm a single mom, so I'm not entirely being like, oh no, but being able to have that full concentration on the thing that I know I need to do and being redirected in a place where I'm like, oh, I do just have to start. And the synchronicities that are falling in place while I do it is just like, okay, I can't tiptoe my way into my purpose. I have to live it immediately. And so it was shocking, and it's just crazy how everything turns out to be redirected to something that I have no doubt in my mind this is going to be a huge success. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, no, both Eric and I see huge things for you in your future. Is there a sense of relief then in some ways? Like that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting because there's a girl in our alchemy group who literally just kind of has been asking for something, asking for it to manifest. And the way it came was basically like her safety net, the rug being pulled out from under her, forcing her to make the move, so to speak.
Hmm.
And it's funny how that can happen. And at first, our first instinct is like, oh shit, right? Like, what's going on? Have I done something wrong? Have I made a
Right.
wrong move? Like, that's the first feeling that a lot of us get. But ultimately, sometimes we need that safety net pulled. Like, I remember when I was back in the Caribbean, and I was realizing, you know what? It's time for me to leave, and I've got to like get back to the mainland. And but then I was like, something kind of shifted, and it like. I was like, oh, maybe I could just use a little bit more time to save up a little bit more money. But then I found out that I was going to I had to close my business down. Otherwise, I was going to have to pay all of these renewal fees and all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, ugh, I don't want to have to go through all of that again. And so, in a way, I was like, I got to get off this island in time for me so I'm not actually having to do all that other stuff. And so I was kind of forced. It was my original plan, but then I was like, well, maybe if I just, save up a little more money so I have a little more cushion and it was no, it's like you got to go now. Like it's
Yeah.
now. And
Yeah.
so that's so interesting. Okay, so let's just rewind a little bit for everyone. And if you've missed this podcast, I'm going to leave a link in the show notes to the original podcast back in October. when Anika was on. But let's kind of get an idea because I feel like so many people are in a similar situation like you, in a sense of maybe it's not the exact parameters that you
Mhm.
have, but it's the same fears, it's the same doubts, it's the same, insecurities. So before you came to the retreat, where were you at when you thought about your purpose?
So before prior, I was completely lost. And I think I used that word when we had our phone conversation, our retreat conversation prior, trying to figure out my intentions for the retreat because I had gone to therapy looking for my purpose, ended up doing a ton of inner child healing, but I still wasn't directed on my purpose. I just went through a huge change, breakup, became a single mom, didn't have a career set up for myself, and just I felt like a blank slate or a clean slate. And so we ended up talking about my purpose over on our Zoom call. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't know what it is, and I'm just going to come with an open heart and open mind. I was playing very small, and I knew it. My job was not something that pushed me out of my comfort zone or challenged me in any way. And I was ready. I was ready for a huge change, and I was ready to set myself up and my daughter up for a good, solid future, and to live in my purpose. Because if you go day in and day out, not knowing exactly, like you're just floating. You're just floating, you're running on a hamster wheel, you're working at, wherever. I'm not gonna throw things out or be judgy, but like, I was working a dead-end job too. And I'm like, I need a change. And I felt so incredibly lost and I had no idea what direction to go in. And I felt like I needed guidance and like come to find out, I knew it here and here all along. I had an idea, but I didn't trust myself enough to go through with the ideas because I felt like I needed something outside of me to tell me what to do. So I was doing a ton of search on like spiritual podcasts, nothing wrong with them. But I mean, I was watching 3, 4, 5 hours a day, searching, trying to find answers for someone to tell me what the heck to do because I couldn't, I wasn't tapped into myself, my heart, my divine intelligence enough to tell myself, like, hey, this is the direction you need to go. And, during and after the retreat and the journey, it was like being plugged into a light socket. And now I have complete connection and guidance. And it's funny because I was thinking about free will, and I'm like, yeah, I have free will, but there's also some other manipulation in there because things that I'm trying to do or attempting to do and I'm getting redirected. I have full trust. And here's the thing about taking away the safety net. I have full trust that if I fall, I'll be caught because I've been guided this far the past few months to continue making moves that are just insane in my life that I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting to go here or there, but I'm being guided. And the other day, I was talking to a friend about joining a Toastmasters class. And I go downstairs in my apartment. The next day, hanging up was a sign to join Toastmasters. I think they're opening a new one near here. So I was like, okay, there's literal signs telling me I need to do this or that. So yes, I'm being very divinely guided, whatever you want to call it. There's something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's how, like, you're so plugged in.
Yeah.
It's when, yeah, you're literally getting signs like that are happening within hours, like not even days, like hours later, you're seeing like the actual sign, the confirmation. Like, I mean, I just receiving those are so nice, but it's this idea of feeling so lost and then having such immediate clarity that isn't like fleeting, right? Like
Yeah.
the clarity has never left you.
Mm-mm. No.
So what was your idea before coming to the retreat that you didn't trust?
So I knew I was supposed to do something with Um, maybe at the time is what I was thinking, opening a spiritual center, being able to guide people away from organized religion into connecting to their own past. But like, also, I realized that I wasn't connected either. And so that's probably why I had such doubts in myself because I wasn't fully tapped into the source. So how am I supposed to lead somebody if you're not actually tapped in yourself? And
Mm.
so being able to have that huge dramatic transformation, I'm like, okay, now I can because I've done it.
Okay.
Just like, go ahead.
Yeah. What did you realize looking back that you could see like, oh, I wasn't as connected as I thought I was?
Can
What
you
was it? Because I obviously right now you feel super connected, so you can tell the difference. So what is the difference to you today to where you were before realizing weren't as connected as you thought?
Well, I think it's trusting. It's trusting my intuition and trusting myself is a big one because prior to that, I always looked outside of me for someone to tell me what I should be doing with my life. And it caused a lot of misery. It caused me to do things that I wasn't fully comfortable with or fully in alignment with, I guess. And so I would have these ideas and I'd be like, "Oh, I keep betraying myself because I'm listening to so and so or so and so and trying to please everybody." And whereas now I just have so much faith and trust in myself and in my connection that there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's important because this is even something that I've realized that a lot of people, when they're stuck and they're not really moving forward, they're not getting any traction in their life in the direction that they're hoping to go, or even have some inkling of which way they want to go, is that they're often and I hate to use this word, but bombarding themselves with way too much information,
Hmm.
right? Whether it is watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts. And again, it's not to say that those things aren't helpful or good. They are, but everything in moderation. And sometimes you need to step away. And I've seen some of my clients needing to like step away from certain things, and not that they're fully stepping away, but they're really looking at where they're putting their energy. It's like, it's time to really focus it on what I need to focus it on. Does it mean I can't listen to a podcast or two here? The ones whatever, we all have some free time. We all have time where it's just nice to kind of decompress and have that information kind of flowing in. But it can become an addiction to like staying just constantly curious as
Hmm.
opposed to actually living it.
Yep. And since then, I've not had the interest of turning on most podcasts. And if I do, it's for entertainment purposes, not for seeking answers.
Yeah, I am like, that's almost all the time when I'm listening to podcasts now. And I know this might surprise a lot of people, but most of my podcast listening is to reality recaps. Like the traders have just come out. I'm a big Bravo fan. I love like Real Housewives shows. And so I just listen to the reality recaps because it's something that's so different from my everyday that I'm so immersed in, that
Hmm.
it's nice to have that balance for
Hmm.
me personally. And you're right, it's strictly entertainment.
Yeah.
So all right, what do you feel was the game changing element for you in the shift?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So there was a bunch of things that I think came together for you.
Yeah.
At the retreat, what was the thing that, like, the insight that you received that really shifted everything for you that you didn't have before?
To me, it wasn't so much of an insight as fully feeling my power and feeling the trust that I had in myself that I didn't have before. Because before I was just waiting water. And now I'm just like, oh, I know exactly. And it's all internal too. It's not like, oh, I need to go somewhere. I need to go in this direction. I don't think like that anymore. And it's crazy because I was not that way before. I was an avid type A, write down all of my personal goals and I moved the goalpost here and there. Like all of that was me. And now I realize, oh, like I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to prove anything to myself or anyone else. I just need to know that I'm living in alignment each and every day. And so I wake up, of course I have my little to-do list laundry or whatever. But like I'll wake up and I'll be like, what action do I need to take today that's in alignment with my purpose? Or just in general, in alignment. And I do. And it's getting me way further than I've ever had, writing down goals each and every month, setting my big goal of the year. Like that stuff to me, I was just like, oh, you're doing that to try and check off something for what? And now it's just like, I don't need to do any of that. And it's okay to set goals. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
But for me, I was doing it from a place of I'm not enough. And now it's the exact opposite. Every single day, I know that I am plenty and I'm in alignment every single day.
Okay. So what was driving the goal setting was you not being feeling your full power. And so by making the goals, you felt like that would maybe make you powerful in some way or connect you to a power that you felt like you were missing.
What it really was a sense of control. And I don't have control anymore. I let that go. Now I'm just flowing with life and it's nice, it's easy, it's relaxing. Because it was quite the illusion of control. You can't plan for crazy things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
And I stopped planning and I just started going with what feels right, and life is great.
Now, that is important. That is actually something that I'm reconnecting with more as well, is this idea of which I kind of have spoken about in the last few podcasts, is over the holidays, just really wanting to connect with my feminine energy. You know, sometimes when you are like this more type A personality and you're so used to being the one who has to do everything because you don't have a lot of support in your life, like, you have some support, but at the end of the day, it all falls on your shoulders. And so you tend to operate from this place of, I got to do this and I got to do that. And like, again, it is a very much a control thing. And I don't know, something beautiful has shifted where I'm really like learning deeper levels of this surrender and feminine energy of like, even with my business, is I'll like look at my ads, like now I'm like using ads to reach new people and all of that. And it's allowed me to like not have to like constantly put out content and all of that so that I can actually focus on the things that I really love doing. Not that I don't love doing content, but
Mhm.
like before is like if I don't keep posting, like I just won't, it's this hamster wheel, right? That you can get
Mhm.
into. And through doing the ads, I've noticed that when I am more in my flow, the amount of people coming in from my ads is much higher than the days where I'm trying to like control stuff, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm paying attention, I'm understanding. And it's like, yeah, I've just got to let it go. And I'm literally like, even today, driving home from the gym this morning, there was a huge, I don't know what it was in the middle. It was a 4-lane road, like two going in opposite directions, north and south. And there was tons of emergency vehicles, ambulance, fire trucks, police. The whole 4 lanes were blocked off and everyone was having to go and reroute. And it was in a really awkward place where you had to really go out of your way to get back to your route. And I just looked and I was like, huh, I guess I'm just not getting home yet. And I'm like, I guess I'm just going to take a long scenic route home. And I'm really looking at where this part of me just wants to get somewhere. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, I don't need to get anywhere. I'm here and I'm just going to let it be and I'm really paying attention to my reactions and then how things open up thereafter, making it so much easier. So this is really cool that you're recognizing this because it's a really powerful state to be in when it comes to creating what you want because it doesn't feel like you're actually creating in a way, like at least in the way that you think you're supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed myself doing that with this new project, and I'm going to tell everyone. It's because I'm very excited to launch it. It's
Yes,
a
please do.
meditations. So I'm opening a YouTube channel for meditations. Meditating is very important to me. So I've been writing them, I've been producing them, and it'll be released hopefully within the next month. So very
Oh,
excited.
okay.
Yeah.
You're going to give me the YouTube channel and I'll put it in the show notes so people
Yes,
can
I
like,
will. I'll send you a link.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I'll work 8, 10 hours and still want to work because it doesn't feel like work. I'm
Yeah.
doing and it's so energizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited.
That's what I like. Here's the other thing too. Sometimes we look at like, oh, I'm just so exhausted. I'm so tired and I don't want to work. Why can't I just like do this or whatever? But when you're really doing what you feel called to do and you love what you do, like it doesn't feel like work. That doesn't mean you're not gonna maybe be tired at some points or, hit a wall. You will, but it doesn't hit you the same way as if you're doing work that maybe doesn't feel as fulfilling to you, or you're working for someone else because you're just trying to pay the bills. Like you're
Mhm.
maybe working at a job that pays you well, but like it's not feeding your soul, right? Like you maybe are missing certain elements and it's just totally different. So here's something that I think is important because, you know, I'd like to know from you. You've hit such a stride of success post retreat, and not everyone does. I don't want to like pretend like everyone who's come to the retreat has had like the same level of stride. Like everyone has some kind of life changing experience for sure, and there's changes that are happening in their life. For you, it's happening quite rapidly and quite
Mhm.
consistently. What would you say just and this isn't like a time to, minimize, the work you've done or anything like that. What do you think contributes to that based off of what you know about yourself and what you're doing?
So I think my biggest thing was doing a lot of inner child healing prior to the retreat. And what that meant for me is I went to hypnotherapy, and you touched on this in one of your podcasts, Nicole, about feeling the anger towards the people who've wronged you and not pushing that down. Because I did a whole lot of toxic positivity, self development, and like you can't self development your way or self develop your way into healing, and you can't cover it up. Like you have to do that inner work. And doing that prior to the retreat, I think was the biggest thing for me because I felt like I came in ready to fulfill my purpose and to experience my power. And I wasn't living from a place of pain.
Yeah, because when you were at the retreat, like we touched on, people were connecting with vulnerabilities at the retreat, right?
Mhm.
Everyone was opening up and sharing certain pains and stuff, but we didn't really go deep into anyone's traumas or spend a lot of
No,
time dwelling on any of that.
no.
And now that you're saying that, I know one of the other women she's been to two of the retreats, and I know the first time she came, she also did my inner child healing course, and she actually did the shamanic exam that I have at the end of that course. And she did it as she was driving up to the retreat, right? She stopped in a few places on the way up and spent a couple nights in a cabin and did the whole fire ceremony that I have you do at the end of the inner child course, which of course you can constantly keep going into that and do deep because as I'm sure aware of, like more stuff comes up. You're like, oh,
Sure.
okay, now we can access deeper stuff. And it's always nice to have something to lean on, like to keep guiding you through all that. But I remember she had incredible results from that. Like, not only did she have a literal healing miracle with her vision completely changing, like dramatically, where her optometrist jaw dropped to the floor, like couldn't believe. But on the way home, she connected with two estranged people in her life
Wow.
out of the blue who both reached out to her. She didn't reach out to them, and then also had a shift in her career, as soon as she entered the office, like literally upon entering the office. And so, you saying this, I can see how the inner child work can be very, very beneficial to the preparation for what you're going to experience at the retreat. So, this is something that I kind of knew. Eric and I both knew with you that you had done a lot of work. We could just sense it in your field, and that when you're ready to when you're ready for big shifts, it's usually because you've done a substantial amount of work on yourself. And I know a lot of people in my audience have done a lot of work. I prefer to work with people who have done that work,
Mhm.
just because I operate better at a level, of that nature. Like I could definitely work with someone who's beginning, but like like with anyone, I've already done that stuff with a lot of my clients when I first started. That's not where I excel now. I know where I light up. I know where the best of me comes out. So with you, the inner child work is what you feel really set you up for success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because not operating from that pain. And so, in a sense, I did have empowerment from being able to take my childhood back and recognize my triggers and recognize, oh, this is healthy, this is unhealthy. And so I did a lot of self-development beforehand, and then I started in on the healing, and I was like, oh, that's where it's at. And so when I came to you, I was like, I am a blank slate, even though I felt very lost, very like, what do I do? I felt like I didn't have to tackle that portion. And also, therapy is great and everything too, but as you've, I think, said before, you're focusing on the pain versus like focusing and then turning your pain into power, turning your pain into empowerment,
Hmm.
and then going from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that was a
Because
big thing for me.
Yeah, because basically what I like to focus on in the retreat is like what's stopping you? What's the
Yeah,
big block? Let's remove it. And then let's get you tapped into the thing that's going to like totally light up your life, right? Like, and for you, it was specifically power,
yeah.
right? It's not that for everyone, right? There were different things for other people at the retreat. So, and I think that's what's important is knowing that you have to be a participant and ready. It's like anything that you, what's that saying? How you do anything is um, how you do anything is how you do everything. Yeah, that's
Yes,
yeah. So,
yes.
but like I've always prepared myself for all my journeys or any of like my big healing that moments that I'm going into, whether I'm going to a retreat or whatever it is. Like I'm always making sure that I'm prepping myself so that when I'm there, like a lot of the heavy lifting's over and I can really maximize the
Hmm.
what's available to me, right? Because we want to always capitalize on the event. So you really did that. So and so did a lot of the other women who were there at the last one. I mean, everyone who's come has done quite a bit of work, uh, in their own of where they're at. So with everything that's kind of happened, what are the big changes that are now like going forward? Because I know, like, let's talk about your connection to the divine, because I think that's something that everyone wants when they come to the retreat. Something I've noticed in what everyone's kind of looking for when they fill out the form, and when we have our one-on-one, that's one of the big components is they want to feel a lot more connected to either their higher self, the
Yeah.
divine, their intuition. So talk about that, like where it was and where you're at now and what's been evolving.
So I had an idea, and I think more or less I went through the motions of meditating and yoga and doing my prayers or my affirmations and everything. And it was nice and it was healthy to do. But now when I do it, I actually feel the power. So when I'm meditating, and now I've like integrated dance with it, which has been fun. So meditating, dancing, singing, all of the things that you express outwardly, I'm actually feeling it a lot more concentrated. And as I've said before, signs, things talking to me, I'm not hearing voices, guys. But actually getting receiving the messages and the downloads 20 times more than I was before. Yeah, it's great, it's intense, and just the absolute trust that it's not just me, I'm not alone in a sense. It's me connected to something that I have been so obviously guided with. It's crazy because from my background, people in organized religion are like, "Oh, you have to feel it, you have to feel it." And like I never personally had that testimony until just recently from doing something that wouldn't be considered religious
Yeah.
whatsoever. It was a very spiritual experience for sure.
Yeah. The feeling it is important. And this is why I will keep harping this till like, I know some people will be like, Nicole, we've heard it. And it's like, but you don't until you are knowing it, feeling it, understanding it fully. And I know some of you out there are, the body is so important to the spiritual journey. Like the body is what allows you to feel. Without this body, we wouldn't have this sense of feeling. You have to be so connected in your own body, which is something that when we're on the spiritual journey, we, even if we don't consciously try to do this, we are constantly trying to disengage because we want to go so far out there, right? We
Hmm.
want to connect, we want to just connect to whatever energies, whether it's different dimensions, different galactic families, angels, like whatever it is that you're really wanting to connect with, you see it as so far away from you, like it's outside of you, but it's always within you, as you said. And what better way than to go to the deepest part of within you is by connecting with your body.
Yeah.
And so, how is your relationship with your body maybe shifted then to allow you to feel more?
Well, I think more intuitive eating for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Very my diet has and my diet was very processed healthy before, just as I've said, protein shakes, protein bars. I stayed healthy, but like I'm probably lost 10 pounds since you saw me. Yeah. So my intuitive eating, making sure that I feed life into my body. And I completely quit drinking, which to some people it's fine. To me, it wasn't, it was getting in the way of my
Mm-hmm.
connection. And so I'm 100% alcohol free now. And that was a big thing.
Good for
And
you.
knowing that I would not experience my fullest self if I don't do it, and so having to do it, being
Yeah.
forced to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's important to recognize because that's an individual journey for everyone. Everyone's going to have their own little things that they're realizing, you know what, if I don't cut this out, I'm not going to really connect or get to where I want. Like it is in my way. And really
mhm.
recognizing what those are for each person. So that's really good that you recognize that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so you're eating, you've been eating more intuitively, so connecting with your body. How are you, can you describe to people how you're feeling it more? Like I know what you mean, but not everyone's going to really understand it. So, how would you say you're feeling it more?
I mean, it's hard to say because I'm not feeling it more because once I connected, I haven't disconnected.
Mm.
And so it's a constant feeding source. It's like you're an antenna and then like you do whatever you do and then you have a lightning bolt and it just stays and it's like that's how it feels to me every day.
So you're in a constant feeling state.
I'm in a constant like empowered state,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When you're feeling something, you're receiving something,
Hmm.
right? You can't feel something if you're not willing to receive.
Yeah.
That's how we like push feelings away, right? Like think about it. Like you're resisting, you're pushing it away. And this is why like a lot of this also comes from your journey of self-worth, what you deserve, what like you're worthy of having. And so the more that you open up this open up to the truth that you are worthy and that you are really practicing how much you're able to receive, that definitely will increase what you're feeling, which is fully being connected.
Hmm.
Truly, when you're fully feeling everything, you are fully connected. That's why it's so important to be fully connected to your sadness, fully connected to your anger, fully connected to your bliss, fully connected to whatever it is that you're having and not be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't feel this. Or like you said, the toxic positivity, of like trying to self-develop your way to happiness
Hmm. And
or
there
your
is one thing,
purpose.
real quick, there is one thing I've noticed about myself is I am not scared of speaking up for myself now. Whereas before I would have been kind and been like, okay, turn the cheek. Now I'm just like, and I'm not rude about it, but if I feel like someone is attacking me in some way and it's like this little, I don't even get angry. I'm just like, no, you can't do that. And these big, the shield comes up and it's really amazing.
Isn't it empowering?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's just like, God, why did I wait so long? Right? Like,
It's a deep take no shit kind
I
of
know.
feeling.
You're like, why did I think this was a bad thing? Why did I think this was hurting anyone? Like, because
Yeah.
that's what we're truly like. It's a people pleasing. It's like, well, I just want to preserve everyone else's feelings. And it's really, it's not about that. So, okay, this is really cool. I would love when it comes to your purpose and developing your business and on all of that. Now that you kind of been, your safety blanket's been ripped away and you're like, okay, I'm all in. What are some of the things that you've had to say yes to in order for it to continue flowing?
Good question. Well, the work for one, actually putting in the time
Mhm.
and the energy and the effort, the work. It's been so effortless though, Nicole. Like going to the library every single day and sitting there for hours and hours. Like the other day, I realized I went like 6 hours without anything to drink. And I was like, oh, because I was just so in the zone. Saying no to things have been very obvious, like things that are not in alignment, such as parties, people trying to make plans that I'm like, if I'm not feeling it, I have to say no. And things that are, I'm like, yes, like you invited me on the podcast. I had a friend reach out the other day. It was like, hey, I need help discovering my purpose. I was like, okay, this isn't in synchronicity at all. So the things that are flowing, I'm saying yes to. And it's very obvious to say no to the things that I need to say no to.
So you've gotten better at understanding um, where your energy needs to go and where it needs to stop flowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big thing because your energy is everything. It's your fuel source, right?
Mhm.
It is ultimately like for you, power is literally just concentrated energy,
Yeah.
right? Like it's concentrated energy. That's all it is. And in order for you to be optimized at, in order for you to optimize your ability to focus, to put whatever needs to get done, yeah, you've got to really be smart and considerate about what happens to your energy when you put it here, what happens
Mhm.
to your energy when you don't put it here, like all those different things. I think that is something that's always been a big sign for me as well, and I'm sure many of you out there can relate to this, is that as soon as you start to hit that flow and you start to open up, the universe will just start bringing people towards you to confirm, like, this is where you need to go. I can't tell you how many times the things in my current business and past businesses that I didn't even know I was meant to do until someone asked me to do it for them. Like I remember, okay, so when I was in the Cayman Islands, a girl just came up to me and she's like, Nicole, I see like some of the meals that you eat and I see your workouts. I want you to train me and I want you to make my food for me and I'll pay you. And I'm like, what? I go, you want, I don't do that though. And she's like, no, but I want you to do that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I created a business out of this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I had someone who's like really needed inner child healing work. Right. And, like, was like, can you channel my inner child for me? And I'm like, what channel? I don't channel children. Like I don't channel. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try. And then all of a sudden it's like, now I started offering inner child channeling sessions with people, which led to creating the course, which led to like all these things. Like I
Yeah.
had no idea that was what was in store for me. And that has happened time and time again. The journeys, taking people through journeys. Had someone told me that's what I was going to do before I actually did my own, like with someone, I was like, well, I can do this is basically what I do, just with the use of like a few little friendly fungi. And I'm like, oh wow, I can totally do this. And it just kept coming through. And it was it's been so interesting. And here's the trick. And I'm sure you would stand behind this. You have to be at least doing it, right? Like you have to be in the action of it. This is why I say just start. Start doing something like you said that is an aligned action with where you want to be. It's in the aligned energy, whatever it is. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. Not everything that you do is going to hit, but
Yeah.
like some stuff is, and it like that you just have to be in the rhythm and the movement of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And once you get started, once you get your footing, things will come along that will guide you as well. Like this person reaching out to me the other day, and then you reaching out to me immediately after, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm already doing this stuff anyways, so let's do it.
I know. I got like a distinct download like right away. You need to ask Anika to come back on the podcast. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll ask her, you know? And so it's just it's funny. And like I love listening to like all those little things, you know? And I think that we're in such a we're in such an high energetic year this year. Like this year is unprecedented. And I don't know if people really fully understand because so many times we'll say, this is such a big year. And, you know, like this is the year, blah, 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 blah. But this really is, above all else, a year of change,
Yeah.
a year of massive, massive change. Like, never do we have the planetary alignments aligned in the way where every planet is changing signs that are on the outside. And we haven't had them do so in an alignment in the sky of what they're creating that is opportunist. So, meaning that if you are ready, if you're well prepared, that's what they say, like good luck is usually a mixture of like the right timing and also being prepared, right?
Yeah.
And this is why when you come to the retreat and why I've had such a high success rate with people having literal miracles, some physical miracles. Like I think half the people that have come to the retreat have had literal physical healing miracles happen. Over 30% of the people have Kundalini awakenings. Everyone has some sort of massive positive change in their life as a result. And there's a reason why. And I've said this before, because miracles are literally what some people would look at as like a stroke of good luck or fortune, you know, but and it literally from like God's source. And I don't deny that, but there are ways to prepare yourself to be more ready to receive that
Hmm.
in the
Absolutely.
right timing, to be in the right energetic space so that literally the magic can happen for you.
I agree.
You know, so I think that that's something that is like once you start to see it and you tell me, like, there is a process, there is a process that can get you there a lot faster. You know, like when you came to the retreat, you even said, like, I wasn't expecting all of this. Like, I was just thought we were going to go on some hikes and, you know, and maybe a few kumbaya sessions. Like, I don't know. But there was a process,
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
distinct process. And so once you know that, and I definitely have some very powerful healers in my audience who I know they're doing great work. They know this as well. They know that once you really dive deep into the healing journey, you start to see the patterns. You start to see the what works and also where the tripwires are,
Hmm.
right? And this is all about helping you avoid the unnecessary tripwires and also seeing like um where like I guess I like to call them trap doors, but they're not trap doors in a negative sense. They're like, oh, it's like a quantum door, so to speak, right? Like, and so where you're at right now, if you could just maybe share with the audience, the last time you were here, you shared like, um, you know, you were making more money than you had previously, which was great. Like that's a nice bonus. And I know now you're feeling more connected than ever. You've got your purpose. You definitely have vision for that. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you feel is something that is inspiring to anyone who's maybe been knowing they want to go deeper into their own journey and whatever pathway that is for them, that maybe they're just needing to hear a little bit more of what is possible for me? when I do.
So the night and day difference from pre-journey to post-journey has been, I live in a completely different reality. So I don't really know the reality I lived in before, but when I took that leap and when I rebirthed and all of that, like my reality, the people around me, I don't, maybe it's my mind, maybe it's something, but I feel like I'm extremely magnetic now. And for some reason, I don't know why people say I'm glowing all the time, but I think it's just the light connection, honestly. I truly live a very blessed life. And even things, because you were like, hey, any struggles or anything, the whole school thing working out, I don't even see any of that as like a sad. That was like a, oh, redirection. And so my vision and my mindset towards things that seemingly aren't going well, I just know that I need to shift. And it's not a big deal. Like nothing's a big deal anymore. Everything is just like, oh, okay, need to do something else. And that's been a big thing for me because prior, I would fall apart if things didn't go as planned. But because I'm not planning anything, it's like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll just do the other thing. So it's a big night and day difference of being from perceiving that I was in control or trying to be in control to living in this beautiful state of flow, which is a lot more connected to my feminine energy. And I had not experienced that in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, the fact that you've got your voice, which I know was a big thing for you, that was definitely connected to your power.
Hmm.
And that's been kind of something that's been not something we necessarily focused on because it was part of the aftermath. It was a natural event that would come as a result of you reclaiming your power. And being able to have a different mindset, I think, is crucial. I think that's one of the big defining factors. And I think, they've done a lot of studies where they look at, for instance, two twins, okay, who had the same parents, had the same like environment growing up, went to the same school, but one could like be struggling through life and the other one could be excelling to great successes, right? And what it all comes down to is truly perception.
Hmm.
It's how you perceive everything around you, including your struggles and your challenges. One of the things that has kind of helped me, especially with my business, is I've kind of started to look at it more like a game,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Like, and I know sometimes it can be difficult to shift there because when you're going through very, very real, difficult problems, whether they're health problems, whether they're marital problems, whatever they might be, really deep financial problems, I get it. Like, it's really hard to be in the thick of that and then be able to like understand this. But it's like, having this perception of like, ooh, I don't know, like I'm treating it like a video game almost in a way, or just some kind of game that's a little more fun and you don't
Yeah.
take it as seriously. So you're easily more ready to pivot, like you said, when you
Hmm.
need to pivot, like you did, right? And also see new solutions where they may pop up that you're not expecting.
Yeah. Like every day, I'm just like, oh, we're gonna have a fun day today. And you live in that mindset, you're gonna have like when you're living from joy. And I saw something online not too long ago, and it was a girl talking about like when you're trying to walk 10,000 steps, it's hard to get to. But if you're just walking for fun, you'll reach it without even realizing it. And that kind of stuck in my mind because I was like, everything that I do that I'm feeling now, even working out, you can look at it as a chore. You can look at it as like, oh, I'm gonna go have fun. And some days I skip it because it doesn't seem fun, and it's fine. It works out for me. And that's kind of what I'm doing with everything in life. And yes, there is some things that it's going to feel like a drag, but if you can Lulu your way into feeling like it's fun, yeah, you'll have fun.
Yeah, let's Delulu my way through this rigorous work that needs to get done. It's a chore in some ways. But yeah, again, it's this and I think, when I had now that we're saying this, I had oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank here? Um what's his name? I've had him on recently, like I think in August or September I had him on the show. Um, oh my gosh, E.T. Whisperer, Rob. Um, and I remember when we connected, he did a channeling, and this may have not been on that episode. It may have been on a different one. I'm not sure that I had him on, but how we look at work, we don't, he's like, the channeled message that came from the entity was saying, you call it work, we call it our bliss or something of that nature. It wasn't bliss, but it was something along those. We don't call it work.
Yeah,
Right. And I think that's something that's really interesting. Like, why do we call it work? It's such, and again, words are so important. Words are so powerful. So when we can alter our language and we will alter the words that we use, it's not just in how we talk about ourselves, but just in the daily usage of how we're applying ourselves in life, all of that can make a really big difference.
absolutely.
So, yeah, having fun. I say this so often, but to me, fun is one of the highest frequencies you can be in to change your life. You want to change your life? Start having more fucking fun.
Exactly. And it's not a thing that you do, it's a state that you're in. Fun is a
Mhm.
state, it's not what you do.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's choice. It's a choice that you choose to be in. Yeah. Like, and I think I'm like, yeah, like, can I make this fun? Like, can I have fun with this? Like, how can I
Yeah.
have fun with this? Like
Yeah.
turn it into a game.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too. So, okay. What would you like to say to one, those who are coming to the retreat, who are maybe new to the retreat, or maybe they've been there before, and they're coming again because I do have repeats coming. Maybe someone who's thinking about coming and hasn't, and anyone else who maybe not feeling called to the retreat. Because I know it's not for everyone, but maybe they're being called to something else that's really in line with them, but they've been holding off. What would you say to those people, like right now?
For the ones who are thinking about doing something and they're not sure, I would just say take the first step. Whether it's doing, and don't research, just do it. Don't spend your time looking online to see what the salary for this new job or this or that. If you're feeling called in your heart to do something, take the step. And then later, maybe if you want to, do it. But first, move, make the move. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Movement is like taking that first step. And I
Hmm.
feel like the first step is usually the hardest,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
is.
once you start moving in that direction and you start creating that flow, you'll start to see the universe answer you.
Yes.
Like that's when you start getting the conversation started. It is a conversation starter with the universe to take the first step. So think of
Hmm.
your first step as your conversation starter with the universe.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for those who are joining the retreat or thinking about coming, really look into doing some inner healing prior to doing it because it could be life changing. It really could be. And coming with an open heart and an open mind and not setting any expectations, knowing that you're going to receive exactly what you need to receive at that time.
Yeah. Because you will be in the safest place to do it.
Hmm.
Without a doubt. Like we make sure that Consuelo and I have got your back and definitely have some new things planned for this retreat as well. But I'm just so excited. I'm so happy for you. And I know the other ladies, when we talked to them last in December, when we had our final call, just kind of checking in and helping with the integration process. It's just, I love seeing how I think this is something that we didn't touch on, is how you start calling people towards you without calling people towards you.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I've
know?
gained a lot of relationships and friendships and conversations and just like have there is one more insight that I've gotten is the I went from being really guarded with people in general to a I have love to give to everyone and I can learn something from them. And that's a huge shift too, because being able to nurture your relationships and really not be closed off to the people you meet, but be open to them can cause just tremendous positive change in your life and their life and the world around you. So that was really big too for me. One of the insights that I got.
Isn't that something that you find is a bit of a fuel source for you when people are asking you to help them or tell you that something you said helped them? Like, how does that inspire you or fuel you in your path?
It's very validating for one. And for two, I'm just like, just knowing I'm exactly where I need to be at this time and everything's continuing to unfold and to grow. I'm not, I'm not 10 years down the road. I'm exactly where I need to be. And everything that's happened prior happened for a reason. And now I'm able to start helping other people. And it's truly an incredible feeling.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for is that they just, no matter what you're doing, where you're at, it's this sense of I'm connected to others, I'm making a difference in this world. Your own legacy is being left behind through the connections you make with other
Yeah.
people. I think that's one of the most powerful legacies any of us can leave behind is the impacts that we have on other people's lives. No matter how small or big they are, they're impactful,
Hmm.
and
And
that
allowing yourself.
yeah, that's a fuel source for me. Like that just gets me so amped of like what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yes. Like if I felt like I was kind of drained or dulled or whatever, all it takes is like something like that, and I'm like full of life again. And I'm like, oh, amazing, right? So,
Yes.
and that can only happen if you make yourself available to receive and be in the right place to open yourself up. So, and that's what I know the other women have been doing too, is they've been opening themselves up and talking about their experiences, and they've been bringing and connecting and helping others. And this is just something that so many of you can be doing if you're, again, that conversation starter. Take the first step, start the movement process. Don't worry about like, is this the right or wrong thing? Just be in some kind of aligned action and energy that you know is true to you, and let the rest unfold.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Anika, for coming on the show. You look gorgeous,
Thank you
and
for
it's like inside out. It's exuding out of you. So,
having me.
so
Thanks.
happy to see that you're continuing to just grow and grow and grow on your journey. And to my audience, again, if you're interested in coming to the 3-day 180, it is May 15th to the 18th. I'm leaving the link down below for you to get more information on what we're going to be doing and the tickets that are available. And Anika, I'm going to leave all of her stuff once I get it from her in the show notes as well. So if you want to listen to some of her meditations, I can't wait to hear your first meditation that you're putting out.
Thank
That's awesome.
you.
And we'll definitely have you back on later in the year to kind of see where you're at and how everything's unfolding, because I think
Awesome.
this is a beautiful journey that you're on.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. Thanks for having me. And I'm happy to be on the Enlighten podcast once again.
Yeah, thank you. And to everyone out there, I love you guys so much. Have an incredible week, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.